we're glad to have you with us. This is the Basketball Forum, and we're coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina at the headquarters, the worldwide headquarters of Top Line Events. And the Basketball Forum is a brand new effort on our part. It's an occasional broadcast about all things basketball. We're going to be talking about every level of basketball, and we're going to have a lot of great guests as this program goes forward. Today we'll be here for about a half an hour talking to two terrific high school basketball coaches. But as the program goes forward, we'll be having players, college coaches, high school coaches, AAU coaches, players, administrators, everybody who has some interest in the great sport of basketball. You look at the website toplineeventsusa.com, and you'll see the schedule. We don't really know when the next one's going to be. We're going to have this as an occasional production from time to time, and if you check that website, we'll let you know. Today's show can be seen at ncaaUboysbasketball.com, ncaau.org, toplineeventsusa.com, or ncaautv.com. And as I said, this is our first effort at web streaming. We're going to talk to you a little bit later about the Top Line Events web streaming service. But I want to introduce now my two guests. First is Barbara Nelson.
Hey, Ron.
How are you? It's great to have you here. Barbara,
great to be here.
Barbara's team at Myers Park just won a state championship last week. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. We're still flying pretty high this week.
I suspect that you are. And with me also is Todd Bumgarner from Olympic High School here in Charlotte. And Ty is exactly 1 year removed from his own state championship.
I am, and we're still glowing about ours.
Good, so it's going to last a long time.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Well, not only are these championship coaches, they've been involved in the sport for a long time and have contributed a lot to the sport, and that's why they're here today, because we're going to talk about a lot of things in addition to their teams. Barbara, I want to talk. You have the most recent championship, so we'll talk about this. Talk about that game a little bit, and about your team and how you came to the point where you were able to win this thing.
When I took over last year at Myers Park, it was a very talented team. They had gone the year before only losing one game in the Western Regional Finals, and everybody was predicting that they had a chance to win the state. And early in the season, I recognized there was a holdout, and it had been 3 coaches, 3 years. So I just don't think the kids would completely buy in. They weren't sure I was coming back. So you got to learn a new system. You're going to have to learn a new system. And at the end of the year, there was a very empty feeling of that we underachieved. So as I'm talking about team camp and getting spring workouts together, it dawned on the kids that I was coming back, that this was more than 1 year. So as they began to talk about it, they kind of brought it to my attention that they had held out. They kind of admitted that, and they owned it. And there was a different level of buy-in then as the summer rolled around, and worked hard 4 days a week most of the summer, worked really hard in the fall with conditioning, really committed, and you could just see a change in their effort. As far as our play goes, we were up-tempo, fun, fast-paced team, but we also learned how to play half-court in the 2 years that I've been there, and learned how to be efficient and get it done and execute. So that really showed, I think, in the Western Conference semifinals against West Forsyth, who had beaten them 2 years previously. We were sick. The score was low. We were not able to press as long, but we were able to still win by double digits just because they executed and limited their mistakes.
Well, Barbara, this program has a lot of hard-hitting questions, of course, and you've been at Myers Park now 3 years.
2.
Only 2 years.
Only 2.
And you've lost 2 games already.
Absolutely.
And I just want to know what you're going to do to improve on
we're
that
trying really hard
record
to
of
clean
losing
that
a game
up.
a year.
Last year we lost to a team that was playing really well, and we were not playing well. And it was one of those things where we certainly were more talented, but they were playing better. And this year we lost to a team that finished number 1 in the nation in ESPN News. They're number 1 in the nation in Max Prep. We could have played them 10 times. They would have beaten us 10 times. But we hung in there. We played hard. We lost by 12, and you could see a different level that the girls were willing to play and willing to commit to. So we're going to make sure we're never undefeated, no matter how good we think we might be, because we're always going to hunt the best competition we can.
Well, Ty, you had a little different situation this year. You had a great championship run with some terrific players.
Yep.
And a lot of those kids, as inevitably happens, graduated.
Unfortunately.
Where are those guys in college now? You got a number of kids who are playing college
Yeah.
basketball.
Well, we lost 4 starters off of that championship team. Doris Parks was our 2 guard, and he ended up at Barton County Junior College in Kansas, and ended up having a really good year out there this year, started for them. Trey Mitchell was one of our wings. He ended up at Olney Central Junior College in Illinois and started there as well, and had a good year for them. Javon Patton, our starting point guard, ended up at Loyola, Maryland, and saw some minutes this year as a freshman at the Division I level. And then Dante Simmons, the 4th starter we lost, he ended up at Campbell University to play football and redshirted there. And then B.J. Gladden, our 6th man, maybe the best 6th man in the history of high school basketball in Charlotte, came off the bench, and he ended up at Akron, and he redshirted there as well. And so all those guys have been very successful in what they've done this year.
Interesting, because the year before you actually graduated 2 Division I recruits.
We did.
The very year before.
Yeah.
You overcame that. Talk about those kids.
Josh Smith, a big kid we had, ended up at Clemson, and he was a sophomore there this year and got about 5 to 10 minutes a game. And then we had 3 years ago, we had a good little point guard named Reggie Arsenault that ended up at Wright State University, and has had a good career there. He's got 1 more year to go. And
I was making Reggie a year younger in my recollection, so sorry about that.
Yeah, I wish he would have been back.
Enjoyed watching him play.
Yeah.
So this year, you had lost all those kids. What did you do? And you had a great season this year. Talk about this season and how you were able to handle that transition.
Yeah, well, we had that 1 starter back, C.J. Jackson, and last year he was kind of in a support role for us, and we knew that he was going to be called on to do a lot this year, and boy, he embraced it, and quite frankly, he was one of the main reasons we had the kind of year we did, because we asked so much of him. He averaged 25 points a game, but the ball was in his hands 95% of the time. And he did a really good job of providing some leadership for some of the young kids that we had playing, and some of the kids that we moved up from our JV the previous year. And I think another part of the reason for some of the success that we had this year, because quite frankly, a lot of people thought we were going to take a big hit. I mean, anytime you lose 5 of your top 6 players at the high school level, that next year could be tough. But I think what we have been able to do in the time that we've been at Olympic is establish a program and really ingrain in the kids that start in our program and eventually move up through it the importance of wearing Olympic on their chest. And they have a sense of pride and don't want to be kind of that next group that has a letdown. And we had some kids that, quite frankly, played better than we thought they would, and so consequently, we ended up having a better year than we anticipated.
Well, it's interesting to me that both of you talked a bit about your off-season efforts and what you do with your team in the off-season. You are limited, of course, with some rules about how much you can work with your players off-season, but it's a lot different in coaching high school basketball now than it was in the 60s when I played, isn't it? Because basically kids played 3 months of football, 3 months of basketball, baseball, and moved on. And basketball, except for the very few who were crazy like me, basketball was not a year-round occupation or not a year-round
you didn't specialize.
Thing to do, yeah. So that's changed, hasn't it? And how is that different from what us old guys are used to?
Well, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. Back even when I was in high school, you played 3 sports, and nowadays you have a lot of kids that specialize in one sport, and so it's for basketball anyway. I mean, we've got probably the majority of our kids that are playing basketball year round, and so that can help your program a lot because especially there in the fall, for us with football or coach here with maybe girls that are playing volleyball, they're not losing those 3 months there before the season starts, improving their skill level with individual workouts or whatever.
Now, Barbara, I know you coached softball for a while.
I did.
And,
I also coached volleyball.
Did you?
Not
Okay.
very well, but I did it.
That's not unusual either for high school coaches to have.
No, but at
extra
Myers
duties.
Park, I don't have to coach a second sport, which I elect not to.
How about you? Have you been involved in another sport?
Nope.
As a coach?
Nope.
You've been strictly
I've
basketball.
been basketball, and I will only be basketball.
Yeah, that's another change in high school sports because it used to be the coach would coach 2 or 3 sports.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I recall games or schools where the high school basketball coach had the boys and the girls team. Which would be-
Absolutely. My high school coach
which would
coached
be a
the
little
boys and the
different.
girls.
Well, let's talk about your background a little bit, Barbara. I don't think I've known you but 28 years.
I believe that's right. When we were saying earlier, how'd you get started? I thought, well, the first successful team I was on as a coach won a national championship. I was the assistant coach. You were the other assistant coach, and Angie, it was Reinhardt at the time,
Right.
was the head coach. And we had Andrea Simpson as our star, and most people know her from the Charlotte Sting and that type of stuff. So it's been a long time.
Yeah, that was a great team. You were fresh out of Presbyterian University.
Absolutely,
At the time.
absolutely. It was
and,
1986, and I was a young pup.
And I think that if I taught you anything, I don't think I really taught you anything that year. But Angie was a great coach.
Yes,
and
she
everybody
was.
learned a lot from her. I did teach you, however, that when your team gets into overtime, quit dancing with the players.
Absolutely.
And come to the bench.
Get over on
and
the
get
bench.
ready.
I think that was the most important thing that you taught
That's
me.
that's a great
That
memory.
one, and the second thing was that the college coaches talking to me didn't really care about me. They were just trying to get close to Stinson in any way that they could. And I believe you taught me that one too.
that was a great team, and those are great memories.
Yeah, they were.
I appreciate all of that. But tell us a little bit about your career after that. And I've said before, I've written actually that you're the most accomplished coach in Mecklenburg County.
Well,
I believe that's probably
does that
true.
mean I'm the oldest too?
Well,
Is that
you're
what that
getting that way,
means?
but,
Yeah, that's sad.
no,
I
I'm
remember
not
when
sure
Dave
that's true.
Price was the oldest, and now all of a sudden I'm wearing his shoes. Well, I was very fortunate after that year with AAU. The Providence Day job opened up, and the year before they had not won a game. So I said, I'm just mean enough. I can probably win one. So I was lucky that they gave me the job and got that opportunity. And it took us 4 years, but we won our first state title in 4 years. And those kids really committed and worked hard and taught me a lot about building team and how to build a team. And those kids did a really good job. Stayed at Providence Day for 21 years. Had a great time there. Really enjoyed it. Raised my kids there, which was good. And Vernon had been at Providence Day, so it was a big family thing for us. And got the opportunity to go to Wingate University for 5 years, and that was a good ride. Lucked into some good kids and had a blast there. Got to an Elite Eight one time and lost in double overtime to get there twice. So we had a good run, and then next to Myers Park. But I think during that 5 years I found out that some people are made to be college coaches and some people are made to be a high school coach, and I'm a high school coach. I like the relationship with the kids outside of the gym. I like dealing with their academics more than just, I like watching them grow as individuals. And college kids, it's a business, and they really just want you to coach them and leave them alone. And the high school kid still wants a relationship with you and wants to be mentored, and it fits my personality much better.
Well, I'm glad you're back here.
Well, thanks.
And you actually didn't leave Charlotte. You
I
continued
didn't.
to commute back and
I
forth.
didn't.
And,
I didn't. I just put a lot of miles on a car.
So she's still a local. and tell us about your career, Ty. I know you were a head coach at Waddell prior to going to Olympic.
I was.
Tell us where you come from and
Well,
what
I'm
about you.
originally from Kansas. Go Jayhawks. Hopefully we can make it past the second weekend. We'll get Embiid back. Played at Emporia State University and then stayed on there and was a graduate assistant for 2 years while I got my master's. And then came out here to North Carolina and was an assistant at Elon University up near Greensboro for 3 years. Then went back to Emporia State to be the top assistant there and also the NCAA compliance coordinator. So it was a dual position, and that was interesting to say the least, dealing with all the other sports and the eligibility and all that kind of stuff. But had decided at that point in my career that I was kind of ready to be a head coach, and had interviewed for a couple of head college coaching jobs. Didn't get them. Was young enough at the time that thought that let me try high school and see how I like that, and was fortunate enough to come out here and work for a guy named Kerry Clark at South Mecklenburg High School at the time, and was a JV coach there for 2 years. I wanted to kind of see if I liked the high school level before maybe I was actually the head coach. I would have probably felt bad if I took a head high school job and after 1 year decided, well, I'm ready to go back to college, and then they're in the same boat again they were the year before. So, but liked it. Really enjoyed Charlotte, and like you said, then I went to Waddell when it first opened. Was there 3 years, and then now I've been at Olympic for 10 years.
Well, interesting backgrounds. Both our guests are in college, and obviously you like high school basketball because you're here with us now. It's interesting to me how many products of small Midwestern colleges and small Southern colleges as well become really good coaches. Barbara at Presbyterian, you at Emporia State. Any idea why that would be true?
Boy, no, I don't know.
I've got my opinion on that.
Do you? Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but Dean Smith's from Emporia.
Yes.
Okay. I figured you did. I don't know if our viewers knew that, but well, I don't know. I mean, maybe because of some of the Midwestern and Southern roots that were instilled in us when we were growing up.
What do you think, Barbara? You got an opinion?
I think if you look at Coach K, and he went to the Army and played there. I think a lot of good coaches are people who were average players and had to work really hard to be successful. I think people who things come easy to don't know how to turn around and teach others how to work hard because they didn't have to. And I remember when I first started coaching at Providence Day, and I was the JV coach, and Angie was the high school coach there, and she was helping me make my first practice plan, and she said something about teaching layups, and I thought, everybody knows how to do a layup. She said, well, how would you teach that? And I never thought about that. So I had to learn how to break that skill down, something as simple as a layup, because I'm coaching 7th, 8th, and 9th grade girls that may have never played before. And so I think that is a skill that maybe less successful athletes, because of natural talent, have learned to do that maybe when things come easy, you haven't learned to do that. So that's my opinion on that. And I think you see a lot of coaches like Dean Smith. They weren't great players. They were good players. They were good teammates, and they became great coaches.
Yeah, and as I go around in the basketball world, I run across a lot of people who have that background and are now prominent people. Jerry Colangelo is a good example.
Absolutely.
Prominent people who were players, loved the game, and when the playing days are over, the game was still within them, and that's when you become really a successful coach. I think when the game stays within you. We'll take a little break here. I want to do a little commercial here. If you like this show, you can have your own. Top Line Events has a web streaming service, and that's available for your show. It's to broadcast your sporting event or broadcast your church event or a business show. It can be a one-time show. It can be a regular show. We think this is a great tool and a great way for folks to take care of their customers and take care of their fans and take care of the people who can't always be right there. We had a great email a couple of days ago from a woman who was glad to hear that we are going to be web streaming a super regional this year, this weekend actually. And her email said that she really enjoyed this last year because her son's father was in Afghanistan, and he was able to watch the child play for the first time in a long time. Well, that made us feel great. And we also had a lady who was all excited because she had gone to a concert with her daughter, but was able to watch the basketball game on her smartphone. So web streaming is a great tool. If you are interested in it, then you need to talk to Top Line Events. Have we shown the contact information yet for Top Line Events? You can, just send an email or make a telephone call to Top Line Events. You can watch our later efforts at toplineeventsusa.com, and hope we're going to get better. Hope we get a better host for some later shows and do a little better production. But I want to compliment our guys who are doing the production, Seth Sawyer, our producer, and his assistant and brother, John Sawyer, who do a great job. It's funny how this works. They point the cameras at us, and it goes through some type of thing and goes to Florida, and then it comes back out to our website. Now, I don't know any more than that about the technical end of it, but it's a great tool. So I hope you'll, if you think this is something that could help you in your business or help your organization, talk with Devin Seaford, and send an email and talk about what you need for your event or for your business, and see if we can't work something out that'll be good for you. Back to basketball. I think every coach develops a philosophy or an idea of a way to play. And I know you two have your well-set philosophies. You change them sometimes, though, don't you?
Absolutely. You got to adjust them to your personnel. You don't change your philosophy, but you might change your sets, or are you running motion offense? Are you going to zone press or man press according to your personnel? But I think your philosophy always stays your philosophy. I think you probably could walk in any gym and have Todd Bumgarner back in the hallway and watch his team start without him and know that it's a tie team. You probably would be able to walk in my gym and say, yeah, that's a Nelson team, just by the way they play. So I think you do have a philosophy, and you do teach that to your kids.
So you would agree, Ty, there are some truths about the game
I
that
agree
are truth to you that you want to apply wherever you go with your team.
I agree 100% to what Coach said. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you do have to adjust sometimes to your personnel, but in terms of your core values, in terms of your core philosophy, no, it should never change.
Where you go next year? What are you going to be doing next year with your team?
Whew, that's a good question. Can we get CJ another year? No, I mean we've got an all conference and an all district player coming back in Malik Constantine, who had a really good year for us, averaged a double-double, and he'll be a senior. So we've already visited with him about taking some of that leadership role and leading some of these younger guys that we'll have next year, because we've got a good young group coming in. But I think every year presents new challenges with roster turnover that you have. But we're not going to change how we work, how we prepare. May change a little bit how we play, according to, again, our personnel, but we don't see a lot changing. Hopefully we can continue to have the success that we've had, especially the last few years.
Barbara, we always said that you got 4 starters back, so we know you're going to be pretty good.
Well,
How are you going to handle that? Sometimes that's a challenge
that's
itself.
a problem in itself. We do lose 5 seniors, and 1 started, but 3 played a good bit. And the year before we lost 4. So we will have lost 9 kids in 2 years that have been a part of building this and doing what they've done over the last 4 years. So we have a lot of work to do. We returned 6. Good news is we returned Dee Dee Rogers, who had 25 points and 20 rebounds in the championship game.
That's
She'll
great
be a
news, not
senior.
good news.
Yeah, it is. That is great news. And she finally found the other gear. I kept telling her, you'd be a little higher recruited if you'd find that gear consistently. And I think she's found it. Now we just got to keep her playing in it. We returned the player of the year in the conference, Leah Mazik, our point guard. And so, we return a big kid and a point guard, which we all know if you've got those two things, you can figure out how to do the rest. And then our young sophomore, Stuart Ayer, had a double-double in the championship game, had only scored double figures once, and in the state championship figures out how to get 12 points and 10 rebounds. So, and got the most outstanding player of the game. Dee Dee got the MVP, and she got the most outstanding performance from our team. So we return a lot of good pieces. We've got to get a little deeper. But we've got 4 JV kids that I like a lot. They worked really hard. They've played in that program now for 2 years, and they're ready to move up. And the kids, the good thing was they wanted to know, when do we start? And I told them, Coach is old. She's got to have at least 2 weeks off. So we'll start in another week.
Well, that's all good news. And I know you've told those stars that are returning that they're not really that good.
No, they're
and they
not.
have to really work really hard.
They're only
to get where they
they're
wanna
only
be.
as good as I think they are.
That's right.
And today they're not very good.
The Rogers lady, of course, is the daughter of the great Rodney Rogers at
She
Wake
is.
Forest in the NBA.
And she
And
has
I
a
got-
sister who plays at Georgia Tech, Rodrika, that played
Okay.
at Myers Park also.
Yeah.
I did not
Well,
coach
you
her.
don't know that I had the honor of coaching their father for a while in one summer. So there are some genes in that family. That's
There definitely
terrific.
is, and Dee Dee was pretty excited about winning a state championship and being named MVP because it was something her dad and her sister didn't do.
Well,
So
that's
she was
very
pretty
neat.
excited
That
about
really is neat. Well, we're going to be through here in just a minute. I want to remind viewers a couple things. If you are an AAU coach and you coach a team grade 2 through 6 in North Carolina, you have until midnight to get your team entered into the state championships.
Wow.
So if you're behind, you better get to your computer and do that. Look at NCAAUboysbasketball.com to enter. And really all you have to do today is enter your team, and you have another week to get all your players registered with the AAU, complete your roster, bring it to the first game. And that first game might be at Olympic High School, where Ty is helping us host a number of events this year. This weekend, the Charlotte Super Regional begins tomorrow night, and it'll be at Carolina Courts and Olympic High School. There are 79 teams, I believe, Ty,
Wow.
and 131 games to be contested Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. So there's going to be a lot of basketball. If you're interested in watching those games, go to Carolina Courts or Olympic High School, or go to NCAAUTV.com or whatever website you're watching this on right now, because we're going to be web streaming, I believe, 19 games from that location, starting Friday night at 6:15, and then again 9 a.m. on Saturday and 9 a.m. on Sunday, and going all day to the championships, which will be around 5 p.m., I think, on Sunday. So you're going to see some pretty good basketball, all age groups. We've got grades 4 through 11, and probably a lot of those groups will be on the broadcast at some point in time. And we did this last year, got great response, and I think you'll be impressed with the quality of the broadcast. Thank you for joining us on the Basketball Forum. Watch for further editions of the Basketball Forum, and get back with us again. I enjoyed having you guys. It's always
Enjoyed
great.
being here. Thank you.
Thank
to
you for
talk
having me.
basketball with my friends. I thought it might be hard to fill up in half an hour, but I forgot when basketball coaches start talking about basketball, time rolls right on. Okay?
Yes, it does.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.